I'm smiling because you guys are deep, very deep, and I appreciate that about each one of y'all, how y'all presented your thoughts, your heart, basically. Calvin brought up something very interesting, and I want to share. I'm going to start mine out with that. He was talking about networking, being a part of an organization. I think we all know what part of the organization we're talking about. So I'm going to start out mine like we did in those organizations, like I still do. Randy Deavers with Dealey Media International. We specialize in lead generation strategies for small, medium, and large business. My ask of you today is to bear with me. I'm going to go down so many rabbit trails here, but I'm going to tie it up at the very end, and you'll see how it all ties together. So I ask you, just like in my networking organization, to bear with me. That's my ask. A very dear friend of mine once told me, I serve you, you serve me, because that's the way it's supposed to be. I truly believe that. DMI believes that. And John alluded to the fact that I've known Nikki since college, about approximately 35 years ago. And so it's been a while, we've known each other, but let me tell you why I'm a part of DMI. If I don't do my job, I trust that Nikki will fire me in a heartbeat. I will walk out before I allow that to happen because I respect her. I respect DMI. Okay? So what I want to share with you is, who's Randy? Some of y'all know this, some of y'all don't. I was a state employee for 32 plus years. Throughout those 32 plus years, I stayed with one company. It was the Texas Department of Health. My passion has been that if you don't have your health, you can't build a road. So if you don't have your health, you can't build that company. So that's why stay healthy, stay active, and stay involved. That's why I really appreciate the fact that having been a state employee, it wasn't until several years ago that state employees started getting recognized for what we do. I have a lot of pride. You have a lot of pride in being a Marine. I respect that. I have a lot of pride in having been a state employee for 32 plus years. What happened several years ago that started getting state employees recognized? A little storm called Hurricane Katrina. When Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, who came out to help those families who had to come into Texas? State employees. Yes, there were businesses there, but it was the state employees putting in extra time, extra hours. We set up what we call the Multi-Agency Coordination Center, the MAC, Multi-Agency Coordination Center. We had 14 to 16-hour shifts for those who had 25 plus years experience. The reason why I'm bringing up my experience in state employee is because it helped me develop a servant's heart. I am serving the taxpayers. I'm a servant to the taxpayers. That's how I feel about Dealey Media. John alludes to the fact many times he'll say to us, the importance of serving. Serve your client. Not only your client, but serve each other. That's what we do. Calvin and I have had many conversations. I'm here to support him. I'm here to serve him. That's what I want to do. So if there's ever a time in which you don't feel like I'm serving you, let me know, because I want to enhance and I want to improve that, okay? There's a little storm called, well, let me talk about Hurricane Katrina real quick. There's so many stories out there that people need to hear. I've even thought about writing a book about every one of these hurricanes.
We know a good publisher.
Yeah. Slip me their card with a discount, okay? There was a gentleman, I received a call early in the morning, or I received a phone number from a police department, local police department down in deep East Texas, deep in the woods, and they said there's a gentleman that needs oxygen, and we can't find him. See what you can do to find out. So after looking at different phone numbers and all that, I called this gentleman up, and he answered the phone, and he was scared to death. This is an older gentleman. He said, how in the world did you find me? And I said, well, I was given this phone number. He said, I haven't had electricity in 3 days. So deep in East Texas that I felt like the world has ended. And it was quiet. All I could hear were the birds, and I have one oxygen tank left. Help me. And I said, what's interesting? Your electricity's been out for 3 days. Someone's looking out for you, buddy, because I got through to your telephone call. Give me your address, stay where you're at, and we'll have a state trooper bring you a canister of oxygen, and then we will take you back. So that's part of being a servant to the taxpayers. That's the drive that I had. I ended my career in emergency preparedness. That's where all this evolved. Hurricane Katrina. The state of Texas did not have any protocol when emergency management, when Hurricane Katrina set in. That was the best thing that happened to the state of Texas. Another little storm called Hurricane Rita was right after Hurricane Katrina. I got a call a little bit before 6:30 in the morning. They said, you need to come up with a plan to evacuate 2,497 people. We need it as fast as you can. It's the midnight hour. Started working on that plan 4 to 6 hours later. Yes, it takes that long bureaucracy to get people to sign off. You know that. So 4 to 6 hours later, had a plan all set up, ready to evacuate 2,497 people from Jefferson County on the east side of Harris County. Had it worked out, and I don't mind saying this, had it worked out with FEMA. FEMA was all for it. Let's go get them. We'll get a transport plane. We'll go down there and we will get them. Excellent. Had it all worked out. Had Dr. McGahey, who I truly love from the Tyler area. Dr. McGahey called me up. He said, Randy, I understand you're trying to put a plan together to evacuate 2,497 people from Jefferson County. I said, absolutely. He said, part of your plan is something I'm taking care of. I said, what's that? He said, I'm going to provide you in Tyler the sheltering, the medical resources. All you have to do is come up with the transportation plan. Thank you so much. FEMA got ready to go down there and get them, and guess what happened? The midnight hour, FEMA pulled the plug and said, we're not going to go get those people. Why? Because we told them 3 days ago to get out of there, that storm may take a right turn, and it took a right turn. Now we're focusing on nursing homes and hospitals. Rightly so, totally understand it. So here I am, already into about 10 hours of this, and I'm at my wit's end going, I'm about to lose 2,500 people that I got the initial phone call. So once again, what I'm alluding to is that servant's heart. DMI has that servant's heart. To end the story in regards to Hurricane Katrina, we ended up calling Kay Bailey Hutchinson's office. She called the military. Military went in and got a transport plane, got those people out. That happened after I left the MAC. Before I went home to Wren, I stopped at my parents' house and I cried like a baby because I took heart the fact that these are the people that I was responsible for, and I may have lost them. Okay, I'm not trying to be melodramatic here. I'm trying to be heartfelt, okay? Got home, got a phone call and said, guess what, Randy? Kay Bailey Hutchinson has got a military transport plane. We're getting them out of there. Thank you. Thank you, okay? There's a second little event that took place, a little storm called Hurricane Ike. Everybody remember Hurricane Ike? Oh yeah, there's a lot of stories behind that, some that we cannot even share. But what I want to say about Hurricane Ike was the sweet little Texas lady that called that she was precious. I happened to get the phone call and I picked it up and I said, Randy, with the Texas Department of Health, how can I help you? She said, listen to this. And I heard bam, bam, bam. And I said, ma'am, is someone trying to break in your house? No, listen, you hear this door open and you hear bam, bam. She goes, it's a casket banging against my back door. Come get it. And I said, what about you? She said, get the casket. Don't worry about me. Come get this casket. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't realize what state employees have to deal with, you know? The last thing I want to share with you about one of the events at the health department was H1N1. Do y'all remember pan flu? All right, they really thought that was going to go ballistic on us, and it didn't, thank goodness for that. Once again, received a phone call from a little sweet old lady from East Texas, and I say old in all due respects. She had that sweet little Texas slang, and she said, I need to talk to somebody about the H-I-N-I, the Heine flu. And I said, no, ma'am, it's not H-I-N-I, the Heine flu, it's H1N1. She goes, do I get a shot in the bobo? I said, no, ma'am, you don't get a shot in the bobo, okay? So a part of our job, too, is to educate, you know? And what better joy, and my wife's a professor, and she enjoys watching the nursing students grow. There's that servant's heart. Two questions I've always asked, and one of them I've had to change, but I'm kind of bringing that back. I always ask, why? Why do these storms happen? Kind of had to put that beside because I'm never going to get an answer to that. But my next question is, what can I do to make it better? And those are the two questions that I ask clients. Someone will say, I had one gentleman come up to me and said, I need a website. I know nothing about computers. I need a website. Why? Why do you need a website? Because people tell me I do. Really? Do you want to pay the money every month for this? Do you want to pay X number of funds to have them change a sentence? No, I don't even want a website. Why? Because people tell me I do. Okay, well, let's look at another route. I showed him another way, and is basically, what can I do to make it better? Showed him another way, and he's happy with it. He hasn't signed on yet, but he's happy with it. We'll see if it works. So once again, people ask me, the questions I received from Nikki on how to present is, DMI, why do I want to work for DMI? Because DMI has that same mentality that I just came from after 32 plus years with the state. It's a servant's heart. Serve your client. John instills in us all the time, serve your client and serve each other. Okay, let's talk about Nikki. 3 words about Nikki. It's all good. You've all heard this many a times. Nikki will say, it's all good. Yes, we've known each other about 35 plus years, and it all started with coffee and Kahlua. Nikki was hanging around, running around, the lady happens to be my aunt. She wasn't my aunt at the time, but she is now. So that's how I met Nikki. And John, you mentioned several things about Nikki's a mover. She's a mover and a shaker. It got to the point growing up with her in college that I moved her so many times, I finally gave her my truck keys. I said, you're going to call me next month. You're going to be moving again. Just keep the truck. I'll take your car. Just holler at me when you're done. You think that's a story? No, it's a true story. I moved her many a times. But let me tell you what she's done for me. There's been many a times Nikki has known when to call me. It's that kindred spirit. I had one time, for example, a young lady broke up with me. I'm so thankful she did, because look who I married. But she broke up with me, and I was devastated. And I tried calling Nikki. We lost touch with each other for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And I couldn't find her. And I needed some Nikki healing. You know, I needed some, I'm an only child. She's the only sister I have. Maximize that relationship. So that's what I try and do. So I couldn't find her, so I was just devastated. I worked at the time about 4 miles from my house. I thought, I'm going home for lunch. So I went home for lunch, and the phone rang. I thought, I don't even want to talk to that girl. She broke up with me. It wasn't her. It was Nikki. First thing out of her mouth was, what's wrong? First thing out of my mouth was, where in the heck are you? And she said, I'm in Indianapolis. What? That's not San Antonio? No, it's Indianapolis. Randy, what's wrong? So I shared with her what was wrong. She said, you probably have so much annual leave. Take a week off, fly to Indianapolis, come stay with me, and let's talk. Coffee and Kahlua? Absolutely, I'm on the flight. So that's what we did. Not only that, Nikki and I learned how to pray together as singles. We learned to pray. Sometimes it needed a little bit more coffee and Kahlua to have that boldness to open up to pray, but we did. So that's where our relationship comes along, to where it's been one of trust, it's been one of longevity, and it's been so rewarding. Another thing I want to share, that 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago, after retiring, I went and started working for the county. And my boss came in with the county, and she closed the door, and I thought, this isn't good. This isn't good. She closed the door. She said, Randy, I've known you for many, many years, having worked at the state. We're losing money, and we got to cut your job. We're going to eliminate your job. In 30 plus years of knowing Nikki, I have never done this. Honestly, I've never done it. As soon as the boss walked out, I picked up the phone, I called her up. Here's that kindred spirit. Called her up, and I said, look, here's what just happened. She said, let me call you back in 5 minutes. She called me back. She said, timing's awesome. I was just in a meeting, Randy, with a company we have called Dealing Media International. And we were just discussing, it's time to bring people on board. Wow. It's that kindred spirit. I knew when to call. She always knows when to call. So people ask me, what's it like working with one of your best friends? Liz, you nailed it. You nailed it with, you told me this several months ago. You said, Randy, the relationship that you and Nikki have is what brother and sister relationship should be like. It's biblical. So once again, I go back to the initial phrase I said, I serve you, you serve me, because that's the way it's supposed to be. People ask me all the time too, once again, what's it like working with your best friend in that working relationship? And my response was, she's the boss. That's the bottom line, because she knows this business so well. Take heed to what she's trying to teach you. Take heed to what you're trying to learn from her, because it obviously works. In closing, a friend of mine gave me this book years and years ago, and I never really knew how important this book would become. I wish I had the original book. It's the exact same book, but I don't have the original because we have children, and I have lost more. Well, no. I haven't lost more things. I had more things stolen from little sticky fingers. But the book is Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places We Will Go. I don't know if you've ever read it, but let me just read a few little pages. Isn't this professional, Dr. Seuss? I love it. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself in direction you choose. You're on your own. You know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where to go. You won't lag behind because you have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang, and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Somehow this has Dealey Media written all over it. So John and Nikki, wherever you go, oh, the places will go. Lorraine, Calvin, Trish, Liz, oh, the places you'll go. Dealey Media, oh, the places will go. And in closing, let me just simply say this. The person that gave me this book 25 years ago, Nikki Dealey. Isn't that amazing? How a little book like this would come back to light years later and have so much importance. So, thank you.